Hi, I'm Kat, and this is today's tarot. The opening card that we have for today is the Two of Wands. So if you can imagine in your body, or even take the stance in your body to hold on to one staff and what that feels like, it's this energetic of moving forward. It's your own inner fire that wants to move towards something. And yet imagine also that that same force that wants to propel you forward is also tying you to something that is a sense of responsibility. So we may feel weighted down by responsibility because while we feel pulled and drawn to move towards a new beginning or a new adventure, we actually have this other aspect of ourselves that feels like we can't move forward because there's something bolted. You know, fire doesn't get bolted. It's consuming and it grows. But if we have this understanding and this idea of our own fire and our own will being bolted to something behind us, as part of us wants to move towards something new, we get a sense of this kind of tug of war between these two pieces of our own will. And so the message behind this card for our opening energy today is that it's time to take care of practical matters. If you have a list of things that you feel that you need to take care of, and it's just kind of sitting there on the desk as things to do, and it just keeps getting longer and longer and longer, and at the same time you have this bucket list of things that you want to do that you can't actually put attention to because they're always fretting about all these other things that are kind of waiting for you. The energy of this is to tell us and remind us that if you can take these things off the list and even manage one of them a day, you know, your list will get shorter and you'll have more freedom to actually move forward. And so the lesson is take care of practical matters so you can actually put your energy towards the direction that you feel called to go. The challenge that we are facing today is the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is a very fire-ruled energy, right? Similar to this first card that we had, but there's one wand. And you can see the horse in this card has his two front hooves up because he's moving forward towards something. The fact that this is coming in as a challenge may be telling us that we moved forward towards something and we aren't really sure how to follow through with it. So it is a challenge. It also is speaking that we may feel some real impetus to move, and yet there's some resistance there. And what is that about? You know, this is our challenge that we're working with today. The way we're going to get through the challenge is the Four of Cups. Now, the Four of Cups is, in numerology, it would be a stabilization around some emotional matter. And this person is contemplating emotional matters. You can see that they're kind of looking at their life and seeing how things are going and monitoring that. And then at the same time, something new is coming in. And so they're contemplating, what is it that I feel nourishes me? And the message behind this is to not put your attention on the outer world. Like, your emotional satisfaction ultimately does not come from external experiences. It comes from within. And so we're working through this challenge by considering how situations make us feel. How do they land on your emotional center? Consider, you know, if someone's out at a lake and they skip rocks across the lake, what does that ripple effect do? How do you feel in a situation? And what is coming up for you? Because what is coming up for you is your work. It's my work. It's our work. You know, our emotional being can give us so much information that is going to give us a sense of how to respond to a situation, how not to respond to a situation, whether we want to engage in a situation. And this is a reminder to listen to your own sense and respond to it. Now, the ultimate outcome for today, the ultimate energy for today, is the Knight of Cups. So what's interesting to me is, and if you guys have watched my videos over time, is that there's 78 cards in the tarot system, and a number of them are associated with planetary bodies and zodiac signs, and a lot of times things will come up in my readings that will make me want to speak to astrological influences that are happening and transits that are happening, because they do come through in the readings. But today's reading didn't have any of those. It had all minor arcana, which means that they're day-to-day matters. There's nothing like really big and heavy that we're working with particularly today. And of course, there's exceptions of that with everyone. But we're working on just like things that we're dealing with today, and to not make them bigger than what they are, because everything is shifting, everything is in movement. And when we realize that, we don't get so, how do I want to say? We don't get so identified with things that happened and so triggered by things, because we realize, I mean, this is a passing thing. It's temporary. I'm going to get more information about it. I'm going to, just sit and waiting and let more information come in. And so there's nothing really big energetically happening today. Now, with that said, the ultimate outcome, as I alluded to before, is the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups is the opposite energy to this Knight of Wands. And so when I drew them out for our reading today, they're actually, sending themselves in different directions. But the Knight of Cups is an energy of letting the environment tell you where to respond. You can see that the person in this card is riding a horse that has one foot forward, almost to be cautious and to take time to move towards something. Not as slow as, not as much time as, say, the Pentacles, because they're really patient and they're almost like stable and unmoving. But the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Cups is more of a moving from an emotional sense. This person is crossing a river. And one thing that a picture that always comes to me with this card is if you were on a horse and you were walking along a river and you needed to cross the river. And it may be hugely raging at some points in the river as you're walking along it. And you are like, oh my God, that's really intense. I don't think I can cross that river. It's too big and it's too fast. And so I'm going to take caution as I approach it. And as you move along that river and you look for a possibility to cross, you might see rocks go across the river and you're like, maybe I can cross there, but that looks a little bit unstable. I might fall into the river and get washed away. And so you don't cross there. But eventually, as you walk down beside this river, there's going to be a narrower passageway that you can actually cross with ease. And so this is listening to your own emotional sense around how to cross that emotional precipice or that emotional boundary that you feel hesitation in crossing, and waiting for the right opportunity to do so. So ultimately today we have a lot of fire and water energy, which in us is our will and our emotional body, our emotional being, and how these two energies interplay within us. We may feel a will to cross the river, and yet there's also a very specific time into where it will be safe to cross the river and step over it. Hopefully that makes sense visually, because I speak in images a lot of the time. So we're working with this, and it's kind of like if you're in a conversation with someone and you feel like you need to say something, but there's hesitancy. Sometimes that hesitancy is actually just to tell you to wait for the right time to actually discuss it, and sometimes we just speak with fire, right? And that can be too fast, and it can be, it can burn people. It can literally be fire in our communications. And how do we step back and actually consider the other person and consider the interaction between us and the other person, so that we can have a true exchange without there being so much fire within it? How do we come to it from an emotional place, a place of connection and a place of understanding and a place of compassion? So these are the energies that we're working with today. So I urge you to, pick one thing on your list to take care of, maybe two. Today I'm going to be making a bunch of bug repellent for some of my friends who are going on a big camping trip. So that's what I'm going to be doing today as one of my practical matters to take care of so that I can feel a sense of freedom towards the thing that I want to move toward next, because that thing is out of the way. And that way we create space in our lives to actually move towards what we'd like, because we aren't so weighted down by what we feel is our responsibility. So with that said, I send you all a good wish today in taking care of whatever projects you're working on. And again, I appreciate all of you. Thank you for reaching out and commenting and liking my videos. I really appreciate our connections, especially as I've been moving and so many things have been transiting in my life. I send you a good wish and so much love today, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.